Hello, thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Reviews. This is Josh. I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about the Anchor.fm app. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. What's up, everybody? This is Josh, and you're listening to the Moist Boys Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, doing a little bit of catch-up here in the review channel since there are not a host of new films out, but we will be getting some more new reviews soon, so keep an eye out. Also, don't forget to share this with your friends and family, or if you don't like these reviews, you can always share them with your enemies. I think this would be a good punishment, make them listen to my voice. But for now, yes, I'm talking about A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, directed by Marielle Heller, written by Micah Fitzgerman-Blue, Noah Harpster, based on a true story. The film stars Matthew Rhys as Lloyd Vogel, a reporter that does interview-style stories, we are led to believe, based on some clues dropped throughout the film. In the beginning of the film, he's accepting an award for a piece of writing that he did. And then we are led to believe that he has a contentious relationship with his father, played by Chris Cooper. Both of these actors, they did an admirable job in their roles, performing in what are kind of stock characters in many ways. Susan Kelechi Watson plays Andrea, Lloyd Vogel's wife in the film, in a role that has some stuff to do, I suppose. So the interesting thing about this film is that many of the way that this film is framed is very much in the style of an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers, of course, played in the film by Tom Hanks, which I will get to his performance in a moment. The film starts out essentially as an episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Then we are treated to a presentation that Mr. Rogers does, where he shows us various photographs of people in his life. Mr. McFeely, who I've did some looking, but I can't be 100% sure, but I have a feeling he was portrayed by Chris Cooper. I could be wrong, so do not quote me on that. So yeah, all of the external establishing shots are not of actual city skylines, but are in fact styled in the manner of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So a lot of cars on pulley systems and little model buildings, which is I think was an interesting choice that I actually liked. As far as Tom Hanks' performance, I think he did the best that he could. There were definitely moments that were very evocative of Fred Rogers, but still there is there's just something about Tom Hanks' performance where you can't not see Tom Hanks in that role. So that do with that information what you will. There were a few very odd scenes in the movie. There was one fourth wall breaking scene that goes on for quite a while. I understand the intention of that scene, but for me it did not land particularly well, and it just didn't work for me. And if you see the movie, then you know what I'm talking about, and you might get a different reaction out of it, but it just didn't land for me. There's also an extended either hallucination or dream, or maybe it was real scene that has some very bizarre choices that really didn't work for me, and kind of tipped my opinion of this movie in a different way than it would have. I think having a movie about Mr. Rogers and having the character of Mr. Rogers in your movie is somewhat of a filmmaking cheat code as far as garnering goodwill. But I think this film makes a couple of too many decisions that kind of squander that goodwill and push it over the edge for me into the negative side. There are some fine performances. There are some good performances. There are some very good moments. There's one particular scene that takes place on the subway that I think works really well. But overall, I would say I would give this film 6 Clooney's. If you're interested in the story of Mr. Rogers and you've already seen the documentary that was produced a couple of years ago, I would say this is worth your time, perhaps to rent it. But if you're not invested in the story and interested in the story, I would say that this is something that you could very easily skip. Thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Reviews. Please share, subscribe, give us a rating, comment on any questions or critiques you might have. Don't forget, we can always use your help getting the word out that these reviews are up here for people that might be interested. Stay tuned for some new releases in the upcoming days. The new Jumanji film is coming out. Black Friday is also coming out, and there are a couple other films that you might see reviews of this coming weekend. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next time.